8 Glebelands hostel hitmen have been sentenced by the Pietermaritzburg High Court. Now, 6 of the 8 men received life imprisonment for charges that include murder, but accused number 1 and 5 dodged a life sentence. So let's find out why as we go live to reporter Lethiwe Mdluli tracking that story for us. Hello to you, Lethiwe. So let's talk first of all, accused number 1 and 5. No life terms. Why is that?
Well, Gareth, the accused number 1, who's a former police officer, was not convicted on any murder charges, same as accused number 5, who's a former SANDF member. They did not receive, or they were not convicted for murder last year. You'd remember that the gang overall was involved in murder, was involved in murder at the Glebelands hostel. But those 2 that we're talking about, they were found guilty for conspiracy and also attempted murder. So as a result, they received 10 years each in prison, while the rest of the gang, the 6 other gang members, received life in prison. During court proceedings today, we did hear the judge basically giving an explanation as to how he reached this judgment. For the rest of the 6, we do understand that there are over 21 people or 21 victims that fell as part of the people that were killed during the terror that they reigned at the Glebelands hostel. We do understand that one of the convicted will be serving 3 life imprisonments because he actually murdered over 4 people during that time. And while the judge was giving out his judgment, he did mention that most of the people that were killed during broad daylight, and they were killed execution style. So he did say that the gang had no remorse for their victims, and he sympathized with the families who were also there in court today. But while the judge was actually explaining how he reached his judgment and why the 2 did not receive life imprisonment, he actually went into some of the terror that these individuals basically exempted to these people at the hostel. We do understand that Dweshu, who is accused number 1, the former police officer, he was the mastermind behind the terror, but unfortunately last year during the trial, when they did or when they were convicted, his lawyer actually won in convincing the courts that he was not involved in any of the murders. But let's just take a listen to the judge while he was giving out sentences today.
Accused number 1, please stand up. On count 3, conspiracy to commit murder, you are sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. Counts 4, 5, 6, and 7, attempt on the lives of Bongani Mthembu, William Mthembu, Mandla Janji, and Lucas Mbegelwa are taken together for the purposes of sentence, and you are sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, 5 of which is suspended for 5 years on condition that you are not convicted of attempted murder during the period of suspension. Sentences in counts 4, 5, 6, and 7 are to run concurrently with the sentence in count 3.
So the judgment very clear on how this is going to be handled with the sentences, Lethiwe, as well. No doubt there'll be a reaction to that. But I would also like to get a sense then of what the families were saying.
Well, Gareth, the families are not happy at all on the judgment today, saying that they are fearing for their lives because the masterminds behind this terror, they did not receive enough years behind bars. They are saying that 10 years is not enough, and they are saying that most of the victims who died during that time, some of their family members are still living at the hostel, and they do believe that once they come out, they will come out again and attack them. We also got a chance to speak to some of the people that fell victim, but we're lucky enough to still be alive, and they are saying the same thing, that they're not happy with the judgment. And even though they're happy with the other 6 who received life imprisonment, they're just right now fearing for their lives because they are saying that Dweshu, who's the former police officer, and also Jangase, who is the former SANDF member, who we do believe was actually supplying the guns to the gang members, are going to only be serving 10 years in prison. We spoke to some of the families that were present in court today, and this is what they had to say.
ngoba yena umhleli behlela yonke lento le angivisisanga kakhulu nemindeni yethu engihamba nayo ikhathazekile. Number 1 yena behlela yonke lento manje isigwebo asitholile sincane kakhulu behlela yonke ngqondo la and then njengoba ezophuma futhi uzoqala phansi sisaba manje lapha njengoba ezophuma sivubuhlungu kakhulu nomndeni wonke nabangani bami ngoba la bantu abashonile ubashaya emini ubona noba ubani abangani bami nami ngasinda khona.
Utata beyi-breadwinner kuthi besenzela yonke into, ukulahleka kwakhe sibe buhlungu silimele.
Ndingathi ugovernment uyenzile imizamo yakhe ngaloo ndlela kodwa angikho happy. Ayikho into engandijabulisa ngaphandle kokuthi indoda yami ibuye kungeyona into engeke idiyenzeke angeke adabuye ukuthi banganikezwa isigwebo mhlawumbe se-1 day okanye dilika jele okanye ayikho into ezombuyisa. Angikho happy and ayikho into ezongenza kube happy but ugovernment uzamile ngaloo ndlela ayenze ngayo.
Well, Lethiwe Mdluli explaining to us nicely what the family members and loved ones were saying before he went to those sound bites, and we'll get a full report from Lethiwe later in the evening, but devastating story. Lethiwe Mdluli on that story for us as far as the Glebelands hostile killings are concerned. The hostile hitmen, 8 of them sentenced by the Pietermaritzburg High Court. Full report from Lethiwe later in the evening.